Today I'm delighted to be able to share with you this Texas Chainsaw Massacre pinball machine, which is sat astride this Looney Tunes pinball machine. And if you're looking closely, or certainly later on in the video, you may notice a few similarities because the playfields are identical on both games. But that doesn't mean that the games themselves are identical to one another. Far from it. One of them is a child-friendly animated classic. The other one's a gore fest, and that's the one we're going to be dealing with today because, of course, it is based on the old. Is it 19? It might even be 1970s. Truth be known, I'm not sure. It's that old horror classic, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, both of these games are available from Pinball Heaven, who, of course, are the UK's largest pinball distributor, and who have very kindly sent these down to me to play, to learn, and of course to give you my opinions on them if you are considering buying either one. I mentioned it in the video that I recorded, which is a separate video if you want to go and search that out on the channel, the Looney Tunes video. This is, I feel, almost next generation pinball in many respects. What I mean by that is ever-increasing competition has meant that certainly a lot of the boutique manufacturers, which certainly Spooky Pinball, who created both these games, would have previously been considered as, have forced, I think, probably the big hitters to possibly up their game. And the amount that's now expected in this highly competitive pinball industry is so much more than it used to be. And this is about as much stuff as I can ever imagine being packed into a normal standard width pinball machine, that's for sure. There are 4 ramps. There are 4 flippers, there's a ton of wireforms, there's 5 mechanisms, there's spinners, there's scoops, there's posts, there's drop targets, there's pretty much anything and everything you could ask to have on a pinball machine, captive balls, magnets. If you've thought of it, it's on here, and it really is very, very impressively done. The playfield itself feels to be a really good quality. You can't feel the inserts. The same for either game, actually, for both games. And even though the playfields are completely mirrored to one another, there's so much more than just aesthetics to try and set them apart, and it doesn't feel like you're playing the same game. Although it does help to play both games, you get a familiarity with the shot layout. Although the coding on the games are completely different. The way each game uses its magnet, for instance, is completely different. The way they use the captive ball, the amount of shots required to hit a captive ball, to lock a ball for multi-ball, the way the post is used, the way that the upper flipper is used, they're different. They are different on both games. So you do feel as if you are playing a different game, and it's quite interesting. I've had these pinball machines here for pretty much 2 weeks, and for the first 13 days, if you'd have asked me, I would have told you that Looney Tunes was my favourite game out of the 2. But actually, on the last couple of days, I've started to warm towards the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not sure what that says about me, of course, but it just seems to be possibly a little more depth in this code, although what I would say is this code is a little bit more intuitive. I don't know if that's because I'm more familiar with the likes of Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote and Bugs Bunny than I am with the Grandpa, the Hitchhiker. I don't know. I've never seen this film. I'm not sure I will see this film, but I would imagine if you have, it would be of some benefit, because as you're plotting your way through the various modes, at least you'll have probably some sort of idea as to why you're mincing the meat and things like that. I think I've got a fair idea as to why I'm mincing the meat, and I certainly don't think it's chicken and beef that we're mincing up. That doesn't leave much to the imagination on the screen there, that's for sure. And actually, when I talk about mincing the meat, just here on the left-hand side, there is actually a meat grinder. You hit a shot up a ramp, it goes down this beautifully powder-coated wire form, goes into the meat grinder and aids your progress. And I think from what I've gathered so far, I think we're selling the meat in a shop. You have to, throughout the course of the game, you have to entice people into the shop. You have to capture people. What I quite like about the way they've done this is, certainly having played a lot of pinball machines in the past, I think a lot of previous companies would have probably coded this game so as you are the victim trying to get away from the cannibals, for want of a better word. on this one, there's a bit more mischief in it, and you're the bad guys, and you're trying to capture people to put them in the mincer. I can't even believe I'm saying this stuff, but it does actually work. It really does work. The game itself is absolutely stunning. The armour on it, just the way they've laser cut the armour on this one here, if you can see that. We'll take a closer look in a second. We'll get the camera off of the tripod and take a closer look. But the teeth on the chainsaw, they're represented on the armour, and they've been laser cut out. The way the wire forms, the way the ramps have been powder coated, is absolutely magnificent. The artwork, I'm not going to say it's beautiful artwork. There's people being slaughtered, let's be fair. But if this is your type of thing, if this is what you like, it is very striking. Very, very striking. And I have to say, on both games, they've done a tremendous amount of effort to make, as I often like to say, I think they've made the best pinball machine that they can, and that's not something that every company always does, that's for sure. There's a couple of secret shots behind each upper flipper, but on each game they do different things, and I think that's a real testament to the company, to Spooky Pinball, who not only have created separate pinball machines in terms of coding, they've managed to create this different feel, this different theme, and I certainly have in both. There have been shots that I would be used to playing on Looney Tunes that I would play on this game, and they just do something completely different. So I was sort of caught between, sort of learning two codes. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of longevity to this game as well. But you get a lot of payback as well. So whilst I don't feel I've even come remotely close to reaching the end of this game, I certainly feel that I've had enough progress in it to give me that reward, to give me that payback, and to make me want to come back and press the start button again and play another game. Like all of these games, like all of these modern games, it's completely customizable. Of course, the LCD screen there is going to play movie footage throughout and show you some pretty gory stuff. I say it shows you gory stuff. It doesn't really. It's more the suggestion that someone's going to get murdered rather than the murder itself. And when you go into it, when you go into the menu, which you access by the coin door, you can adjust the settings. It's a pretty damn intuitive menu system, which I'm always grateful for. I don't always find that to be the case with pinball machines, that's for sure. And if you like the game and maybe you're finding its default setting, which is 3 balls per game, a little bit hard, then no problem. Go into the settings, make it a 4-ball game, make it a 5-ball game, increase the number of extra balls you can get, and that will just allow you to really discover the whole world of these nutters who are clearly chopping people up in Texas with a chainsaw. And I have to say they're absolutely terrifying. I'll show you around it in a second. There's actually a topper above it with some unwitting young lady who's just about to enter a house. She'll probably wish she'd never done that. I've not seen the film yet, as I say, but if they've definitely embodied the theme, I'm quite sure of that. So if you are a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're not going to be disappointed with this game. I'm quite sure of that. The other thing I'd like to point out is on both of these games, the ramps are quite ample. So certainly some of the more recent games that I've played, that I have here at the moment on loan from Pinball Heaven, who kindly send these games down, is John Wick. The ramps are very, very tight, and you'd have to be a very good player to enjoy playing those games. I don't feel you have to be an expert player to play these games. As I said, my 10-year-old daughter on the video for the Looney Tunes, my 10-year-old daughter plays Looney Tunes. They are quite friendly. Well, maybe not both friendly in terms of theme, but in terms of the ease of which you can hit the shots. They're quite friendly, but I do believe that there's enough challenge there in the way that the game asks you to put combinations and loops together, that there's enough encouragement there for the beginner to the intermediate player. The other thing I'd like to point out, which is on both games, the upper section of these games, the upper flippers, the combinations and the loop shots that you can make are incredible. I certainly struggling to think of another pinball machine where the shots on the upper area of the playfield and the loops and the combinations are so good. And because there are so many ball paths and so many ways to divert the ball, it really is an incredible experience of being able to loop the shots together and link these combinations from one flipper to another, from one ramp to another. Eventually you start to learn the sequence of the game, and they're very, very impressive indeed. And because I think the ramps are quite generous, Halloween was the same, we obviously Spooky also did, because the ramps are generous, you're actually able to do it. So you can, if the game is asking you to do this 4-shot combination that involves 4 different shots off different ramps, you can make it, you can nail it, and it's very, very rewarding when you do. A lot of feedback, a lot of not tons of frustration on these games, particularly on Looney Tunes. I'd have to say a very, very rewarding game with an intuitive code. The codes will be updated on both these games. I think the code on Looney Tunes is more developed than this at the moment. It certainly feels so. I think when they're both updated on the next occasion, and they are running the latest codes right now that I could possibly run to be able to share with you my experiences of the games, when they upload the next codes, I think you're going to have a very, very impressive game, or set of games, couple of games indeed. Anyway, let's show you around the playfield and show you a bit of gameplay. So let's take you on a quick tour of the grisly, ghastly Texas Chainsaw Massacre. As I mentioned earlier, look at the teeth on that armour, which mirror the teeth on the chainsaw. It's a pretty hideous bit of artwork, but they've done it very, very well indeed. The powder coating looks spectacular. I think they've chosen a really nice red for that. I've not seen the film. I don't know what happens to this dude, but I don't think it's good. They're magnetised. The stickers on there are magnetised, so it's not going to ruin your powder coating. Nice plunge button there, and it's also the same here, whereby it's just a magnet there, which I think is quite nice. Solid metal apron. Let's take you through the shots. 2 flippers at the bottom, standard stuff. And first of all, the first thing that's probably going to grab your attention is meat grinder on the left-hand side, mechanism there. The ball will go up this ramp, loop around and go into the meat grinder, or that ramp can divert it and it'll drop into the scoop that's underneath. So on this game, it's a meat grinder. On the Looney Tunes, it's a spaceship. And the same here. If you look here on this side, mechanism this side, Wile E. Coyote, mechanism on this side. I don't know whether this is a fridge or a freezer. I don't think it matters. I think if you're in there, you're probably going to be dead. That's really cool as well. Really, really cool. And obviously a big part of the theme. Playfield itself, I mean, it doesn't leave much to the imagination. I mean, look at what some of the inserts say. Grind meat. Hitchhiker. Slasher spin. Grave rob. I mean, my word, there's some nasty stuff going on here. Absolutely no doubt about it. Spinner on the left-hand side into an orbit. Good shot, actually. Not a bad shot at all, that one. This is what I was speaking of earlier. So you have a post, which you can see right here. Balls get locked behind there. When they're released, they can sometimes drop into the out lane rather than the in lane. It's meant to go into the in lane. This has not been coded yet on this one, whereas it has been on on Looney Tunes. You get that ball into there by locking it through here. Very similar to Star Trek, the shot in Star Trek. Really neat shot. It's actually exactly the same with the other upper flipper, by the way, which you can see here. So this is the 4th flipper on this game. You can actually shoot that underneath there. You obviously do so. From this flipper, shoot it from there, lift that one up, and you can sneak it under there. It's pretty cool. Drop target, stand-up targets either side. There's so many shots on here. Some of the ball paths are absolutely crazy. There's another, I think that's Leatherface there in the apron. There's another ramp there for Leatherface. And another 2 ramps behind. You've got this Leatherface here, who's I'm not going to put it because he's obviously on a motor. I don't want to force it, but you'll hopefully see that during gameplay. Spins around. You also see there's a magnet here, and there's a door that opens and closes just behind him there. I'll show you actually on. Maybe that's not Leatherface, that's somebody else at the back there. But if you look on Looney Tunes and see Taz, you can see the Acme crate. It's exactly the same thing. But obviously that, what's it do? Sorry, it doesn't drop, it goes to the side. So this door goes to the side, which is exactly where, hopefully you can see that now on this game. You can just see that that's to the side. Again, you've got this sort of upper playfield part here, which is really cool how that locks the balls in. Had to do a little bit of tinkering with that to get it to work. If you have one of these and it's not working properly, you need to loosen the screws, I'm pretty sure. But you've got to remember, this is number 18 on here, so it's one of the earliest ones out of the factory. I'm pretty sure that's all sorted out now. Really cool mechanism though, really cool. You'll see here as well the speaker inserts I was talking about, obviously state of Texas. And great back glass. I mean, look, for me, Looney Tunes is the better looking game, but if you're into it, that's going to look great. And then there's that poor lady about to go into a house. Little 3D effects there on the chainsaw. And again, you could probably just see a little bit more of the artwork. But it's a pretty damn cool game. There's so much going on. And hopefully you seeing this now, you'll get a better grasp when you look at the gameplay as to where the ball is going, and probably point out, which I didn't mention earlier, 3 targets here. And you'll need to use them throughout the game. Don't worry about that. Captive ball. Another target just in between here. And another target just over there. There's so many shots. I can't, there's not too many games that have this many shots, surely. A lot of bang for your buck here on this game. Right, let's do some gameplay. So the first thing you'll notice is I've just pressed start. I'm going to launch the first ball of the game, and the game's trying to hurry me up. There's a rev counter there. That if I hold in the launch button, it's going to build it up. I've got to release it at the right time to get the skill shot. Oh, which I actually missed. That was not the right way to do it. Now this game, even more so than the Looney Tunes, rewards combinations. It loves combos. So you'll see there's ball 1 locked at the top there. Hopefully it should start a mode, not quite yet. Select a character. Let's go with a hitchhiker, shall we? Missed the skill shot again, and it's quite happy to tell me that I have. Come Come on, let's get that ball back. Got a ball save on that. Hopefully you're seeing some of the movie clips on the screen. It's gone into the grinder. Oh dear, nothing I could do about that shot, straight down the middle. No, I've not managed to do a single skill shot for you, I'm sorry to say. Let's choose Leatherface here.